Today's lesson is on solving two-step equations. Look at the example, 4x plus 8 equals 40. In this situation, you'll see that our variable x, what we're trying to solve for, has two numbers that are next to it on the side of the equal sign. There's a constant, a positive 8, and a coefficient of 4 being multiplied by the variable. If you review from one-step equations, you recall that if we're going to undo addition, we use subtraction. If we're going to undo subtraction, we use addition. If we're going to undo multiplication, we use division. And if we're going to undo division, we use multiplication. Notice that when we are undoing a constant, a number, a positive 6 or a negative 5, those are constants, we use addition and subtraction. When we're undoing a coefficient, a number being multiplied by a variable, or a variable being divided by a number, we use multiplication and division to undo a coefficient. Here's our example, 4x plus 8 equals 40. We solve this by drawing our line through the equal sign and then finding our variable. When we find our variable, we know which side of the equation to work on. We know that what we're trying to do here is to solve for our variable. So we're trying to isolate the variable, or undo the addition and undo the multiplication. Let's look at this example. Notice again, 8 is constant. We're trying to move the constant, and then we're going to move the coefficient. We move constants with addition and subtraction. First, we move the constant with addition or subtraction, and then we undo the coefficient with multiplication or division. This is like reverse order of operations. Instead of multiplying and dividing first, we're going to add or subtract first. So we find our variable, then we undo the addition with subtraction, and when we subtract 8 from both sides, we're left with 4x equals 32. Next, we're going to undo the coefficient with division. We see that 4 is being multiplied by x, so we divide by 4 on both sides. When we cancel out the 4's, we see that x equals 8. Always undo the addition and subtraction before undoing the multiplication or division. Here's another type of problem where we have x being divided by 8, then subtract 9 equaling negative 4. Again, we're going to draw our line through the equal sign and find our variable. Notice that this time our variable is being divided by 8, and then we're subtracting 9. We always undo the subtraction with addition. We undo the constant first, so we're going to add 9 to both sides. First, we move the constant. Then we are left with x over 8 equals 5. Next, we're going to undo the division with multiplication. Notice that x is being divided by 8, so to solve this, we're going to multiply by 8 on both sides. And when we do that, we cancel out the 8's and we're left with x equals 40. Always undo the addition and subtraction before undoing the multiplication and division when you're solving for a variable. In this example, we have a fraction in front of the variable. So we have to remember how we undo a fraction. First, we're going to draw a line through the equal sign and find our variable. This time, notice the constant is minus 5. We always undo addition and subtraction first. So we're going to undo the subtraction with addition. Add 5 to both sides. When we undo the subtraction, we see that our constant goes away because negative 5 plus 5 is 0. And we're left with 3/8 x equals 6. Remember, when there's a fraction next to the variable, multiply by the reciprocal. So we multiply both sides by 8 over 3. Now we can cancel out the 8's and we can cancel out the 3's with cross-reducing. That leaves us with only x on the left. When we cross-reduce on the right, we see that we can cross-reduce, and 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we're left with 2 times 8 on the right-hand side. 2 times 8 is 16. Remember that always undo the addition or subtraction before undoing the multiplication or division. Notice that the fraction is being multiplied by the variable, so it's a coefficient, and we undo coefficients with multiplication or division. So when there's a fraction next to a variable, multiply by the reciprocal. In summary, the goal in algebra is to solve for an unknown quantity, x. We isolate the variable to find a single value. How do we isolate a variable? Well, to get rid of everything next to it, we first have to find the variable to make sure we're working on the correct side of the equation. Next, we use addition or subtraction to undo or move the constant that's next to the variable. The next step is to use multiplication or division to undo the coefficient that's next to the variable. And last, we solve for the variable. Always be careful with your integer operations. That's all. I hope this was helpful.